Final piece of the Rugby Championship puzzle is now in place with the at last confirmed match. This is the one that was initially causing all the dramas. The All Blacks travelling to Perth to take on the Wallabies. That has finally been confirmed for September the 5th, which is not too far away now, actually. It's just a week or so away. All Blacks are now in Perth, so Andy Marinos has been kind of working in the background to get permission, I guess, from the Western Australian Premier to allow the All Blacks in. Obviously, with New Zealand's current COVID outbreak, New Zealand is heading to Perth, need to have a 14-day quarantine period, but they've managed to waive that. I honestly think that was always going to be the case. You can kind of question whether the All Blacks should have travelled or not in the first place. I thought they should have been gone a week earlier. I still think they could have gone and they would have gotten an exemption. I don't say that because I think the All Blacks are above the law. But I mean, if the Wallabies can get an exemption to get in New Zealand and the reversal, that happened a few weeks earlier, I'm pretty sure they would have worked something out for the All Blacks if they'd given it some time. But they did give it some time and they have gotten the confirmation. So that kind of ends the bickering, hopefully, between Rugby Australia and Rugby New Zealand. If you missed it somehow, it essentially went from the All Blacks putting out a statement to say they're not going to travel, Australia putting out statements to say, oh my goodness, you didn't tell us, how could you do this, unilaterally deciding things without us, and New Zealand kind of coming back and saying, well, we did tell you, and then Australia coming back, well, you did tell us, but you didn't give us enough time. And then Australia saying, well, if you guys aren't going to come, you're going to have to pay the $5 million bill that we're going to have to pay to Western Australia for sorting this game out. All rubbish. I was going to say something else. We didn't need to hear. All we needed to hear was from the two of them. Once they decided they weren't going to travel until they got certainty, a joint statement saying they're going to work on it and find out what's the plan and then tell us the plan. That's all we needed to know. Like, we didn't need all that kind of he says, she says drama. It sounds like New Zealand were pretty overeager, but Australia, Andy Marinos anyway, was a little bit disingenuous with what he put out. So, drama we don't need. And man, like, the amount of people that piled in on this one was really crazy. Like, that guy Mark Keohane from South Africa, he's a bit of a piece of work, isn't he? I guess he's like the South African Stephen Jones or like, Chris Ratu or Mark Reason, like one of those journalists who just likes to write shocking nonsense. Anyway, they've sorted it out. The good news is that anybody who had a ticket to that game has now had it transferred, I think for the second time as they've been working on this fixture. So if you had a ticket, your ticket's good to go. And if you can no longer make the game, you can get a full refund. So that's kind of the good news. Maybe good news for the Wallabies, bad news for the All Blacks is the All Blacks are going to be without three of their key guys for this game. Sam Whitelock, Richie Mo'unga and Aaron Smith. Their partners are all expecting to go into labour basically any time with children. So all those three guys have not travelled. So you have to wonder what was happening in New Zealand about 9 months ago because, it's interesting timing that all three are expecting children at pretty much the same time. So, that means the All Blacks are kind of down to Bodie to lead the show at 10. Maybe D-Mac gets a crack, but I would say he's probably the backup guy, but he may get a few minutes at 10. But certainly the All Blacks look a slightly weaker outfit without those three guys. It's going to kind of be interesting selections going forward. But so it's good news. Remember, the last time they played in Perth, it was an emphatic Wallabies victory. I wrote down the score, 47-26. So you can see why the Wallabies really want to get at that ground. Good record, 100% record so far. They've only played the one game there. They had a great crowd. This is really well sold. I think there's 2,000 tickets left, but hopefully those will go. So a week's time, big crowd, All Blacks without some key men. Rugby Championship back underway. Happy days. No more drama. Hopefully New Zealand Rugby Australia can kind of work on their comms. Because that stuff we really don't need. It's going to be an afternoon game, interestingly. I think 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which makes it like 6 6 o'clock over here in New Zealand. So I'm not sure how that works out for Europe and South Africa. Probably a fairly early morning start if you guys want to tune into that one. But anyway, it's the September the 5th. It's going to go ahead. It's in Perth as originally planned. Ticket holders have still got their tickets. Happy days. Everything has kind of worked out in the end. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts. Do you think this is kind of the best solution we could have had? I think it is. Personally, I really want Western Australia to get some more games as well, because it's a market that sometimes gets a bit undervalued, I think, over in Australia. So I'm pretty chuffed for it. And I know a few people personally through the channel who had tickets to that, who now will be able to go. So I'm pretty pleased for you guys as well. But anyway, you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you soon. See you later.